Thank you for joining me in this series of videos on understanding Gurbani by yourself and for yourself. What we have been developing is a structured and systematic process for understanding Gurbani. We gave a name to this structured framework, namely Gurbani framework. And we said that this framework consisted of 10 principles. In our previous 7 videos, we have looked at as many principles. The first was getting from the literal to the spiritual. The second was the Rahao principle. The third principle we looked at was context. The fourth principle was the spirituality of the self. The fifth principle was realizing the creator within. The sixth principle was what I call the spirituality of the here and the now. In our last video, we examined the seventh principle, using Gurbani to understand Gurbani. At its most basic level, this principle means we do not use sources outside the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji to derive meaning of concepts used within the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji's Gurbani. In today's video, the final one in our series, we will look at the remaining 3 principles of our methodology, namely Gurbani Grammar, spirituality of the Shabd, and the principle of inner consistency. Let's start with principle number 8, which is Gurbani Grammar. So, what is Gurbani Grammar and how can we use it to help us understand Gurbani better? Grammar helps us to identify nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, etc. Grammar tells us things such as the tense of a verb, past, present, or future, singular, plural, etc. In this verse, from page 965 of the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, illustrates the importance of grammar. Mahalla Panjama, Ahar sab karda ਫਿਰੈ, Ahar ek na hoਏ, Nanak jit ahar jag udrੈ, Virla bujੈ koi. So we see the word ahar being used 3 times in the entire verse set. In the Romanized version of the verse, you can see it in bold yellow. Ahar means a deed or an act. But if you look at the Punjabi version, you will notice that all the 3 ahars are spelt differently. The first is spelt with the rara being mukta, meaning no vowel is added to the rara. In the second instance, the rara has an onkad added. In the third one, the rara has a sihari added to it. The onkad and the sihari are not for pronunciation purposes. All 3 versions have the same pronunciation, but the grammar of each word is different. The addition or removal of an onkad and addition or removal of a sihari affects and changes the grammar of the word. The second ahar with an onkad is singular. The rule of grammar is when an onkad is added, it means either of the following 4 things or a combination of any one or 2 of them. The addition of an onkad indicates the word is in the singular. Its gender is masculine. It is a noun or a nominal or nominative noun. So, if you took away the onkad, you converted the same word to a plural and changed its grammar to feminine. Now look at the first ahar. The onkar has been removed, so it is plural. Now look at the third ahar. The rara has a sihari. Again, not for pronunciation purposes, but for grammar. It means through the ahar. The sihari tells us the word means through the performance of the deed, the ahar. Here are two more examples of words used in Gurbani that rely on grammar to provide their accurate meanings. Japa with an onkar denotes the word is being used as a noun. This is how we know that japa with an onkar refers to the title of the Bani. Japa with a sihari denotes a verb, the deed of realizing. Ram Nama Japa Dinasarat. Jap here is with a sihari. If we look at page 1 of the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, we see that the commencement verse, the one in the blue box, then we see the word japa with an onkar in the green box. There are those who tell us that the word japa is part of the commencement verse of the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, that Guru Nanak put it at the end of the commencement verse to tell us to chant the commencement verse, that japa means chant. Chant the above verse. Now, this is where grammar comes to our aid. Since the word japa has an onkar, it means it is a noun and not a verb. It is thus the title of the Bani that comes immediately after the commencement verse. So the word japa with an onkar is not part of the commencement verse. In any case, Pyareo, even japa with a sihari does not mean chanting. Japa with a sihari means realizing. Japa is inner realization. In the second row, we have the word ekka with an onkar. The use of the onkar denotes it is being used as a singular noun. Sabna jiyan ka ek data. Then we have ekka where the onkar is removed. This means the gender of the word is being converted to feminine. The verse is Gora ek de bujai. The word ek is feminine because bujai is feminine. So we say mera kara. Mera is masculine because kara is masculine. But we say meri gadi. Meri as feminine has to be used because gadi is feminine. We cannot say mera gadi. It would be grammatically wrong to say such. It is meri gadi. So the use of mera or meri, masculine or feminine, is decided by what comes next. The gender of ek in the verse Guran ek de bujai is decided by the word bujai, which is feminine. Then we have the word ek with the sihari. This denotes it is being used in the plural sense. The verse is ek date ek pikhari ji. Multitudes are givers and multitudes are receivers. So even though the word is ek, meaning one or single, the use of the sihari converts its singularity to plurality. Gurbani Grammar Pyareo is a full and complete subject that was first introduced to the Gurbani world, to the Sikh world, by Professor Sahib Singh, a professor of Sanskrit in the 1960s. His 420-page text titled Gurbani Vyakaran, or in English Gurbani Grammar, is a seminal text on the subject. All said and done, Gurbani Grammar helps in providing more accurate literal meanings. It helps us get the literal meanings right. Even if our goal is to get to the spiritual meanings or spiritual messages within Gurbani, starting with the correct literal meaning is helpful in making the leap from the literal to the spiritual. The next principle, principle number 9 in our methodology, is spirituality of the Shabd. This principle entails three very crucial elements which are vital in getting an accurate understanding of Gurbani. The first element of this principle is that Shabd is Guru, and conversely, the Guru is Shabd. The second element of the principle entails the primacy of Shabd, which means the Shabd is above all. The Shabd is paramount. The third element of the principle is that the Shabd is the provider of our spiritual instruction and spiritual direction. The journey of our spirituality, the how of it, the what of it, the where to go of it, the what not to of it, all these things are coming from within the Shabd, from within the messages of Gurbani. That then is the spiritual meaning of the word Shabd, the spiritual messages, the spiritual instruction, the spiritual directions that are contained within Gurbani. That is what is meant by the word Shabd. So whenever we come across the word Shabd, it means the spiritual message, the spiritual counsel, the spiritual advice within the Shabd. The Shabd is our Guru. This means that when we come across the word Gora or Guru within a verse, the reference is not to the physical Guru. The reference is not to Guru Nanak or any other Guru. The reference is also not to the Granth as our Guru. The reference is always to the Shabd as Guru. The reference is to the messages or counsel that is contained within the Guru Shabd. Similarly, when we have the word Satguru or Satguru, the reference is not to the physical Guru. No matter how much our temptation to link the words Satgur and Satguru to our physical gurus, we need to understand that linking us to our physical gurus or anything physical for that matter is never the intent of Gurbani. We need to know that Satgur and Satguru are both compound words, Sat plus Gur. The word Sat refers to the Creator. It's a Sanskrit word that translates as the one who exists in perpetuity. In Gurbani, in Gurmat, in Sikhi, that can only refer to the Creator. So Sat refers to the Creator, Guru to the Shabd. So the meaning of Satguru and Satguru is Creator connecting counsel that is contained within the Shabd. And when we see the word Shabd, it refers not to any particular word or verse or a particular composition, a particular bani. It refers to the messages within the Shabd. Despite the clarity that is provided by Guru Nanak himself, that the Shabd is Guru, there is plenty of confusion on this principle. The verse of Guru Nanak can be found on page 942 of the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji. Shabd Guru Surta Ton Chela. The Shabd is Guru and my conscience is the disciple. Now, if the Guru was a physical being, then the disciple would also be a physical being. But it is clear here the Shabd is the Guru, by which is meant the message within the Shabad, the counsel within the Shabad, the advice within the Shabad. The message, the counsel, the advice is not physical, it is metaphysical. Hence, the disciple is a non physical entity, the surata, the mind or the conscience. Then we have this verse on page 982 of the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji. Bani Guru, Guru hai Bani, which Bani Amrit Sare. Bani is a collective term for all the messages, advice, and counsel that is composed in the form of Shabad within the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji. Here is another verse from page 305 of the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji. Upadesh Guru, Har Har Jap Japai, Sab Kilvik Paap Dokh Le Jave. Upadesh refers to counsel, advice, and message. This verse is saying that it is the upadesh, it is the counsel, it is the advice, it is the message that is the Guru, which in turn leads to realization of the Creator within Har Har Japa Japa. So it's clear that Sikh spirituality is within the message that is within the Shabad. It is also clear that the Guru is the Shabad, as much as the Shabad is the Guru. This then is the basis of our ninth principle of methodology, spirituality of the Shabad. So, when we come across a verse like this one, Sabte Vadda Satgura Nanak Jin Kal Rakhi Meri, the understanding of the average Sikh is that Satguru Nanak is the greatest or supreme who protects me. But when we apply the principle of the spirituality of the Shabada and its three elements, the primacy of the Shabad as Guru, the primacy of Shabad, and the Shabad as the provider of spiritual instruction and direction, then the meaning of the word Satgur is creator connecting counsel, advice that is contained within the Shabad. Creator realizing messages that are contained within the Shabad. So, what is supreme is not Guru Nanak per se in the physical sense, but the messages, the counsel in the Shabad that Guru Nanak and the other Gurus and Bhagats gave us. Now, look at the word Nanak. It has an onkar. Applying methodology principle number 8, Gurbani Grammar, this means it is a nominative noun to the phrase Jin Kal Rakhi Meri. The word Meri refers to Nanak, the fifth Nanak, Guru Arjan, who is the author of this Shabad. This Shabad is titled Suhi Mahalla Panjama, Suhi by Guru Arjan. So the word Nanak refers to Guru Arjan Ji as the composer, as the author, as the writer of this Shabad. Guru Arjan would never refer to himself as Sabte Vadda, supreme or greatest of all. Recall the fifth principle, spirituality of the self. So the way to read this verse is Sabte Vadda Satgur. The pause is here at Satgur. Sabte Vadda Satgur. Jin Kal Rakhi Meri goes on the other side. So the meaning of the verse is the creator connecting counsel that is contained within the Shabda Satgura is supreme. Sabte Vadda Satgur. Nanak, this counsel safeguards, protects my spiritual life. Nanak Jin Kal Rakhi Meri. So the word Satguru refers to the Shabada, that is the Guru. It does not refer to Nanak, who is the author of this Shabd, namely the fifth Nanak or Guru Arjan Patshahi Ji. There is one other thing that is related to the principle under discussion, the spirituality of the Shabd. And this has got to do with the word Gurmukh that appears more than 1600 times in the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji. For example, we have this verse of Guru Nanak on page 752, Suhi Mahalla Pehla. Gurmukh chor na lag har naam jagaiye, Shabd nevari aag jot dipaiye. This is the translation that is provided by Sant Singh Khalsa, which is widely available on the internet and related apps. The translation is, the thief does not break into the house of the Gurmukh. He is awake in the name of the Lord. So 1612 times the word Gurmukh appears in Gurbani. It is translated as the Gurmukh. But the Gurmukh is a noun. It should have an aukar. If you look carefully at the word Gurmukh in the verse, you will notice it has a sihari. In any case, what is meant by the Gurmukh? A Gurmukh. What exactly or who exactly is a Gurmukh? You cannot find this definition in the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji. So, many people make up their own definition, their own meaning, or get it from outside sources, outside of the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji. Bhai Gurdas, for example. But Bhai Gurdas is not Gurbani. Recall our principle, using Gurbani to understand Gurbani, using Gurbani to explain Gurbani, no outside sources to be relied upon when getting to the original intent of the composers. So let's get back and look at the word Gurmukh. It is a compound word, Gur plus Mukh. Mukh with the Sihari. Guru de Mukh vichon, from within the mind of the Guru. Who is the Guru? What is the principle here? Spirituality of the Shabd. What comes from within the mind of the Guru? The messages that are within the Shabd. Let's go back to the verse, Gurmukh chor na lag har naam jagaiye. This verse is not about some thief breaking or not breaking into anybody's house. So we can get rid of this ridiculous translation. The meaning is, the spirituality of the Shabd Gurmukh ensures my vices do not rob me of my spirituality chor na lag. This same spirituality of the Shabd keeps me alert, keeps me awakened towards divine virtues, har naam jagaiye. The final principle of our methodology, principle number 10, is inner consistency of the text. This means the entire text of the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji is to be looked at as one body of knowledge, consistent, constant, and unchanging in its messages. 4 things are worth noting in this regard. First, Gurmat concepts are consistently applied within the entire text of the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji. Second, the advocacy of a particular concept, practice, or belief is one that is advocated throughout the text. Third, it cannot be that they are supported in one instant and critiqued in another. Fourth, the consequence is that within the 1429 pages of the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, one cannot find 2 messages that contradict one another. Let me illustrate this principle with 2 examples of 2 concepts from within Gurbani. The first example comes from a concept that is used in the first verse of the first body of Japabani. This is the verse. Socha soch na hovai je sochi lakhwar. The concept is soch and socha, soching. Sant Singh MD's translation presents this verse as follows. By thinking, he cannot be reduced to thought, even by thinking hundreds of thousands of times. The words socha and socha and soching are being translated, wrongly of course, as thinking. If we looked for the meaning of the concept of soch within the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, we will come to a different conclusion. Let's take these verses of Guru Arjan on page 265 of the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji. Soch kare दिन सार रात मन की मैल ना तनते जात इस देही को बहु साधना करे मन ते कबहू ना बिखिया टरै जल धोवै बहु देह अनीत शुद्ध कहाँ होए काची पीत. From these verses, it becomes clear that soch refers to the act of spiritual purity or spiritual cleansing. Applying the rules of Gurbani Grammar, socha would then mean my cleansing, and socha with the Sihari would mean the result of this cleansing, the outcome of this cleansing. The concept being rejected by Guru Nanak in the first verse of Japabani, Socha Soch Na Hovai, is the act of external ritualistic cleansing, bathing in holy rivers, tirths, pilgrimages, places of pilgrimage. Guru Nanak is not rejecting the process of thinking. Soch does not refer to thinking in Gurbani, it refers to the ritualistic act of cleansing. The verses of Guru Arjan Padshah above are explaining that particular concept by using Guru Nanak's language, thus making clear through inner rationality both the meaning of socha and soch, as well as linking them to pre-existing concepts of external cleansing and internal purity. So, the correct translation of Guru Nanak's verse, Socha Soch Na Hovai Je Sochi Lakhwar, is inner spiritual purity of the mind cannot be attained even if one cleanses the external body lakhs of times, hundreds and thousands of times. This is exactly what Guru Arjan Padshah is saying through his own verses on page 265. One can perform external cleansing day and night. Soch kare din ar raat. The mind cannot be cleansed through bodily cleansing. Man ki mail na tante jaat. One applies a variety of methods that involve the physical body. Is dehi ko bahut sadhana kare. Yet the uncleanliness of the mind remains. One washes the body with water with multitudes of rituals, but internal purity is not attained. From the linguistic point, the word socha is Sanskrit, which means bathing, cleaning with water. It is no wonder then that the signboards of washrooms in Sanskrit read as Sochala. The word socha is thus used throughout the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji as a Sanskrit word, and it always means inner cleansing, not thinking. This is the importance of applying the principle of inner rationality. Had this principle being applied, the folly, the mistake of translating soch as thinking instead of inner cleansing could have been avoided. Let's look at another example which comes from the final verse of the final slok of Japabani. जिन्हें नाम ते आया गए मशक्कत काल नानक ते मुख उजले केती छुट्टी नाल. The common translation of this couplet is those who have meditated on Nam, Nanak, their faces are radiant and many others are saved along with them. The phrase that needs examination is Keti Chutti Naal, which is translated as many others are saved along with them. What this means is that so long as we are in the company of those who have the Nam, those who are associated with the Nam, we will be saved along with them without us having to do anything significant. But the previous verse, the one immediately before it, is Karmi Apo Apani Ke Nede Ke Dur, meaning my own deeds, karmi, apu apni, my own deeds determine whether I realize the Creator within or otherwise. My own deeds, karmi, determine whether I am close to realization neda or far from it, dur. So, if my spirituality is ultimately determined by my deeds, my actions, or what I do or what I do not do, then such a position is contradictory to saying I will be saved along with others. Then we have these three other verses within Gurbani. Ape bija, ape hi kha, and jeha bija so luna, and apana hathi apana ape hi kaj sawariya. All three are saying, sow as you reap. All three are saying, you reap only what you yourself sow. These three Gurbani verses are laying down a foundational principle, namely that the spirituality of Gurbani is a spirituality of the self, by the self, for the self. Recall, Pyareo, this was principle number 4 in our methodology. So, this notion of many others are saved along with others, which essentially means reaping off what others have sowed, contradicts the principle of spirituality of the self, by the self, for the self, and contradicts Gurbani and Gurmat. The other thing that is problematic with the translation of Keti Chutti Naal as many others are saved along with others is that such a translation fails on the benchmark of Gurbani Grammar. Keti is singular, so it cannot be many others. The word for plural usage is kete for masculine subjects and ketia for feminine subjects. For instance, we have this verse in Japabani, Kete Pavanapani Vesantara, Kete Kan Mahesh. The word Kete is being used in the plural here for masculine subjects. Pavana, Pani, Vesantara, Kan, Mahesh are all masculine subjects. The next verse of this couplet is Ketia Karma Pumi Mer Kete, Kete Tuopades. Karma Pumi is feminine, so the plural is Ketia. Here are more usages of the word Kete and Ketia that make clear the gender and grammar. Kete in the Chand Sur Kete, Kete Mandal Desa. Kete Siddh Buddh Nath Kete, Kete Devi Ves. Kete Dev Danav Mund Kete, Kete Ratan Samunda. All the subjects are masculine, hence the word in plural Kete. And in the following two verses, Ketia Khani, Ketia Bani, Kete Path Narendra, Ketia Surti, Sevka Kete, Nanaka, Ant Na Ant. The word Ketia is used because the subjects are of feminine gender. So, on the basis of grammar, the verse being examined, namely, Nanak te mukh ujale keti chutti naal, should have been ketia chutti naal, whereby the verb action of chutti naal is feminine, or it should have been kete chutte naal, whereby the word subject is masculine. But neither of this is the case. The verse is keti chutti naal. So obviously, we will need to look at the word keti again to find a meaning that fits the context. So this is the verse Nanak te mukh ujale keti chutti naal. Te refers to they or those. Mukh ujale literally bright faced. And keti, according to the dictionary, is affliction, disease, ailment, sickness, illness, or disorder. The only question that remains answering is what is the nature of affliction or ailment that Guru Nanak Pasha is talking about in this verse? The answer to that question is found in the first body of Japabani. In this verse of the first body, Kev Sachara Hoya, Kev Kure Tutte Pal. The affliction is Kud. The opening pauri has the verse Kev Kure Tutte Pal, meaning how is the affliction of Kud going to be eliminated? And the concluding slok says Keti Chutti Nal, meaning the affliction is thus eliminated, is eliminated this way. That's how Japabani is structured, Pyareo. The first para states the problem, the affliction, the disease which is Kud. And after 38 paras or 38 paudis of providing the remedy, the final verse of the final para tells us we are thus freed from the affliction Keti Chutti Nal. Finally, let's look at the entire couplet. Jinni naam tihaya gaye musakkat kaal. The meaning of this verse is thus those who diligently and arduously strived to become divine virtues. Nanak te mukh ujale keti chutti naal. The meaning of this verse is thus they, O Nanak, realize the divine within in their spiritual journey and liberate themselves from the affliction of Kud. So, this completes our journey towards coming up with a step by step structured framework to understand Gurbani. We have covered 10 principles that make up this framework. I believe if you applied them, two things will happen. First, you will begin to understand Gurbani yourself, and two, you will get to the original intent, the intent of the composers of Gurbani. I hope this works for you as it has for me.